when you do include me to the video,
Mhm.
please do a disclaimer or something that I am sick doing this video.
I'll just put that right in and right at the front.
I'm a sick person doing.
It's January 2023. Nijisanji opens worldwide auditions for their new wave of VTuber talents. Thousands apply, and even more viewers are watching with bated breath for the results. But wait, why do so many people want to join a VTuber agency anyway? I'm Licorice Banashi, your local VTuber yokai who also had aspirations of joining a VTuber agency. That is, until I started researching for this video. Now, I want to come out and say that if you want to apply, go ahead and apply. It's a great experience and time for reflection, not only for your current self, but also what you want to do in the future and to check just how far you've come. But, and I say this in the best faith, do not throw everything else out the window and expect to get in. If you've seen my last video on VTuber Twitter, you will know that the VTuber niche is completely oversaturated with people trying to make a name for themselves as streamers. Starting a full-time career in 2023 or even 2022 is almost impossible given there are people with 3 years on you who are also in this space, let alone the people who were face streamers before switching to VTubing. You are in a hell of a ride trying to find a spot for your content. But here's something I noticed while browsing the replies to the Nijisanji audition tweet. There are so many people who are not VTubers or even content creators who are intending to apply. Now, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with not starting your content journey yet, but my biggest question is why then are you trying to apply to a VTuber agency? So folks, this video is going to be a deep dive on what it means to be a VTuber. I'll split the video into different chapters so you can easily slide over to the parts that interest you, but in general, I will be focusing on these main points. 1. What is a VTuber? 2. What is a VTuber agency? 3. Why do people join agencies and why you should not? And finally, 4. Not everyone needs to be a VTuber. I want this to be a learning experience for not only the people who are aspiring to enter a VTuber agency like Nijisanji and Hololive, but also serve as an explanation to any wandering viewers who watch corpo VTubers but don't know the behind-the-scenes commitments. So first, and probably the most important question, what is a VTuber? Well, it's gotten a bit complicated, but if we go back to the start and look at Kizuna Ai, who debuted in 2016, we can get a sense of what being a VTuber was originally all about. Kizuna Ai was a content creator on YouTube who did not stream as her main focus. She made videos just like any other game-centric YouTuber on the platform in 2016. She focused on Let's Plays and displayed Japan's technological advancement in virtual reality, and was basically just another YouTuber under the guise of a 3D model. As you can see, the original VTuber content was not at all centered around streaming and live interactions with fans, but around February of 2018 when Nijisanji was created, the scene began to shift. See, Nijisanji wanted to explore something new on the platform that moved away from the edited footage of video games. At the same time, there was the real start of live 2D technology as face tracking developed on smartphones, which Nijisanji used for their own tracking app. Talents like Kronor, Chihiro, and Zatsudan streamers started debuting, delving into all the ways live streaming could be conducted. However, Nijisanji wasn't the first to push live streaming into the market, as Tokino Soda from Hololive Gen 0 was technically one of the earliest VTubers to begin live streaming as their main content, all the way back in 2017. But Soda and Hololive 0 members mainly use 3D models, so the live 2D VTuber models we've come to associate with the brand of VTubers really only picked up traction in 2018. As a side note, it's almost funny how we began as 3D, found a breakthrough with 2D, and now we once again celebrate the debut of 3D models like in the new update for Lazulite. So what's immediately clear from knowing this? It's that VTuber does not equate to live streamer. You can be a YouTuber who puts out content for any subject you are interested or knowledgeable in, while hiding your face behind a cute anime character. That is VTubing. While there is pressure to become a streamer due to the success of current waves of corporate VTubers, live streaming should not be the deciding factor on whether you can be a VTuber or not. But for the sake of this video, I will continue to talk about VTubers and VTubing with the sense of live streaming being the main source of content. But please keep the previous point in mind if you are just starting to make content. Now that we know a little bit about the history of VTubing, let's look at 2023. Being a VTuber means so much more than simply live streaming, at least to the people who are trying to make a full-time job out of it. There are thousands of people who stream for fun and have adopted a VTuber model or PNG because it's cute, and there's nothing wrong with that. Do what makes you happy. This section is not about you. So, what do you need to do to be a successful full-time VTuber? Being a VTuber just like Nijisanji or Hololive Talents has become an incredibly complex field as an indie creator. If you want to make money in the 4 digits a month, you would need to be on top of all possible social media sites. I'm talking TikTok, YouTube, YouTube Shorts, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, Discord, Bilibili, Weibo, and the list goes on and on and on. You have to post consistently and constantly, with quality content ranging from video game live streams to video essays like this one. Because in 2023, you have to fight to stay relevant. If you don't have quick wit for comical bits in your live streams, then you either have to be really knowledgeable in a subject or you're on par with pro gamers. Not only that, you need to invest in graphics for your content, be it models, stingers, overlays, membership icons, emotes, banners and logos, and so much more. This is what's expected of indie VTubers now, because so many people are used to the high-quality, company-funded talents in Nijisanji, Hololive, and VShoujo. Motivation to watch indies requires the same level of visual quality or content production in some way. If you want to keep an audience, you have to really stand out and be consistent. Doing this all, of course, while having a day job or still being in school until you are at a point where super chats can pay for your rent. Reaching Twitch affiliate or even partner does not guarantee that you are able to quit your day job. You need to have a high concurrent viewer average every month, as well as gain YouTube monetization on your long-form videos before you should even think about going full-time as a VTuber. After all, VTubing can be a career, but it's not a stable one, and you really need to prepare for the 24/7 grind if you intend on going down this path. Corpo VTubers are not any different in that sense. They still have to manage their work ethic, stream, and edit their own videos, participate in other VTuber projects like music covers, and have ongoing dialogue with their agency for future activities. Only they receive certain benefits from their agency that I will elaborate on later in the video. Corporate talents do not get rich off of simply being inside an agency. They rely on super chats, Streamlab donations, merch sales, and various monetization features just like indies. Okay, when I was researching if Nijisanji or Hololive gives talents a base salary or not, I got mixed results. Some people say they don't, other livers say they do, so I'm going to operate under the assumption that even if they get a base pay, it's not something you can live off of in and of itself. So when I say successful, I mean Luxium levels of success. They don't have to find another job to keep themselves afloat, as their VTuber earnings, even after being cut by the company and platform splits, are enough to last for a good while. To achieve this level of success by yourself is probably an even bigger feat than if you were to be signed by an agency. It's hard, but it's not impossible if you put in the hours and the effort at the same level that corpo VTubers do. Okay, we now know what a VTuber is. TLDR, a content creator just like the many live streamers or YouTubers who stream with and without facecams. Next, let's dive into what a VTuber agency is. As I mentioned before, there are currently 3 major VTuber agencies in the community: Nijisanji, Hololive, and VShoujo. 2 companies are Japanese-based who recently bridged the gap to the English-speaking market in 2020 and 2021, while VShoujo is an American-based company that runs things a little bit more indie compared to Nijisanji and Hololive. In the last few years, English VTubers have really started to take off in the corporate space, so there have also been smaller companies who have cropped up with varying levels of success. To keep this video as short and to the point as possible given how long it already is, I will mainly be focusing on the big 3. First, what do VTuber agencies provide for VTubers? The simple answer is, as you might already know, financial backing. Most companies provide a fully rigged model, an upgrade to their stream setup, and a base fund for stream assets and debut videos for all their talents. After the initial few months of debut, the agency will also provide merch and collaborations with other businesses, which are mostly out of the talent's control. With financial backing comes more restrictions on the talents. They are now entities owned by capitalism, and so there are rules that they must abide by that they may not have had to deal with while being an indie. Some notable things are not being able to play certain games or music, or even using ideas for content due to potential copyright. Every corporate VTuber has to go through their manager before every stream. Hundreds of pitches are turned down simply because it is a risk to the company or a bad look. A relatively big example of this occurring is when Holostar's JP member Ryo Minase streamed a pre-negotiated and approved game called Anonymous Code, but was victim of a copyright strike mid-stream by none other than the chairman of the company behind the game. In the initial reasoning for the strike, the chairman had thought Rio did not get the clear for streaming the majority of the game, and so preemptively blocked it from happening. As it turns out, Rio did get full approval of the stream, and many fans were worried that YouTube's 3-strike system would potentially damage his channel or even terminate it, since the strike system can easily be manipulated. But that's another story. So to avoid these types of instances, companies tend to only get permission to stream well-known games or games that do not pose a risk. But that's far from all. For those who don't know how the auditioning process works, when a talent passes the interview stage and gets accepted into an agency, they are to drop all previous VTubing activities under their alias and model up until then. They sign an NDA and are not allowed to confirm nor deny that they are their previous personality, even if the majority of the audience finds out. The company will then have a selection of VTuber models ready for their next generation based on a theme. For example, Iluna from Nijisanji En is based around the theme of High School Student Council. The talents may have gotten a small say in which model they were to assume the role of, and maybe got to design some lore for, but they would likely not be able to have much a sway in the matter as a whole. Here is an example from Kyo.
Can you tell us how you all come up with the name for Iluna? We didn't come up with it. It was already given to us. I know some other gens did come up with the name, like I know Lexington did, but like we didn't. I doubt Lazlite, Obsidia, and Etheria did.
Of course, if we take a look at the Nijisanji En first male-only auditions, we can tell that Luxium and Noctix were both accepted at the same time, as they were a mere 2 months apart in debut. In which case, the company probably consulted with the talents and based on their skills and what they wanted to market first, sorted them into the 2 groups that we now have. Similarly, Hololive JP's 5th generation had other models ready to use with the theme of fantasy, but they did not find talents that fit the role during the auditions, so it is likely that when the talents were initially signed on, they were placed into the model that suited them best, leaving the excess 2 for a later addition. Unfortunately, Hololive was not able to find talents to fit those specific character needs and so decommissioned them. This shows that the company has most of the say in what you are going to get, and all the branding from then on will be under the management's jurisdiction, not yours. To some creators, this may be something that doesn't affect you, but if you already have an established brand that you find hard to separate from, this could become a pretty big hurdle. The only real exception I've seen of big agencies not changing their talents brand is VShoujo, in which many cases their current livers were recruited rather than auditioned. Their models were upgraded, but the designs have always been consistent with the brand they had prior as an indie. Again, I mentioned that VShoujo is the one that pushes to remain as indie as possible, as free as possible, while still being under proper management. I think this is a good thing, but the problem with this company model is that smaller indies almost have no shot of getting in, which has been a hypothesis discussed by many people. Second, VTuber agencies provide marketing and social value due to their previous successful generations, but that does not mean you will immediately find success. Their auditions are rigorous for the sake of finding a talent that is able to benefit from their marketing structure and capitalize on it to further the income of the company. They can provide you so many high-end tools, but you have to be able to know how to manipulate these tools to earn worthwhile results. That is essentially all a VTuber agency can give you. Here are some examples of company VTubers that have all the tools but likely do not earn enough solely through VTubing. This is not to throw shade at any Nijisanji JP livers, but it is clear that there is a gap between the top earners and some of the other talents. As we see here, they may have a high number of subs, but their concurrent viewership is relatively low, and so too must be the number of donations and super chats rolling in per stream. We can also see that the majority of this chat is not a member of the channel, so these talents are not earning $5 a month from these individuals. Meanwhile, the top earners have a strong concurrent viewership with mainly green names in the chat to indicate memberships. This is the one thing that agencies cannot control. It is entirely up to the talent's own ability and effort. At the end of the day, you have to acknowledge that all agencies are based around capitalism. They have favorites, and their favorites are not talents with good personalities and clean track records, but those who sell the most, those who bring in the most money per month. As such, they will focus more on those top earners and provide them with more sponsorships, more merch, and higher paying gigs like competitions and concerts. It is incredibly competitive even after you have debuted as a corpo VTuber. Now, this sort of leads into the third talking point, why people audition for VTuber agencies and why you should not. Before I go on my spiel, I actually took some time to interview current indie VTubers on what they think about this topic.
So, do you just want to give a little brief 30-second introduction of who you are and what you do?
Hello, Makaki here, your local Tanuki Vtuber.
Hello, hi, my name's Skylar Reach. I am a monster hunter from a different galaxy, and I like to stream in my downtime because interplanetary travel is long and boring. Terribly sorry about the quality of my voice right now. It's a desert inside of my mouth. Anyway,
Konyume, I'm Yumeru Castella. I'm a baku and a pastry chef, but now a normal chef. You can find me on Twitter at I forgot what's my Twitter. Hold up.
So, let's just hop right in. So, question 1. Have you auditioned for a VTuber agency before and why?
Yes, actually, more than once.
More than once.
I have auditioned a couple of times. Usually not for the big 2 agencies. In the past, I did not have interest in being VTuber in VTuber agencies, but very early on into my career when I was still a PNG VTuber, I got scouted into an agency.
Yes, I've auditioned a few
times.
couple times. Not a few times, like several different companies.
So 3.
Yeah, I think 3. Yep.
Why did you decide to audition for a company?
I'm not gonna say that it's something like, oh hey, it's so an easy ticket to get famous. But from the looks of it, I did want to share stuff that I like doing to a community that, who knows, might have the same interest as myself and spread the joy from going there.
You said that your whole reason for auditioning was to find a community with like your gen mates. Was there any interest in like pushing VTubing further than what it currently was at the time?
Oh, absolutely. There are a lot of creative ideas that I can do, but I do think that I don't necessarily have to be in an agency to achieve those things.
Did you research the contract and conditions of being a VTuber under that agency?
I didn't go through the whole rules that they themselves posted.
I do try to do research on the contracts and all, but not all of them are easily found online, because of NDAs and all.
Right.
So I just, based on what they have included in the application form and whatever I can find from the internet. There are many VTubers out there, so many streamers that do audition for these companies, and I try to get as much feedback or like their views on the video, because sometimes the 5-minute video, the instructions are like a bit unclear.
Unclear, very vague.
What do you think VTuber agencies are looking for now in 2023?
As I say these things, keep in mind that this is purely my experience within one single agency, and I've spoken to staff from plenty of other agencies, and I think there are a lot of very talented, very compassionate people. We were having talks about putting out new models for all 3 of us that were in the agency. And I said, I don't think I want to do that. I want to do like something else, more creative and more in line what I like to do with my content. And they were like, no.
Oh,
Like,
that's...
you can't. You can if you want to, but no one's gonna really be into it, Skylar.
People being able to show that they're committed to the whole have your weekly plan schedule on point.
Did you put on a voice, like a character voice, or did you use just your regular voice? And same with personality, like did you act as your character or were you just being yourself?
For the videos, for the fun part, like the short introduction, I do put up a bit, I guess, an act. Not a voice. I just use this voice because imagine if you really do get in. Do you really want to maintain that, like maybe a high-pitched voice that you're trying to pull off in the audition video?
Here's kind of a introspective question, but why do you think you did not pass the audition?
So I'm still very new to the streaming community, and the content I produce may not be what they are looking for. Because I did receive an email back from one of the companies, kind of stating the reason why. It's a smaller company, so I guess they could.
I had a gut feeling that I was just trying to imitate what's already been said and done before. So it was nothing really like, oh wow,
As you can see, there are many people who are indie VTubers who have, at one point or another, auditioned for a company. They see their oshis and want to be in that wonderful and supportive community, and also want to reap the benefits of the financial backing that I explained earlier. It's human nature to want to be famous. It's everyone's dream, and I can totally understand that. But I'm here to tell you that if you think getting into an agency will suddenly propel you from 0 followers to being the next Iron Mouse, you're wrong, and you're applying for the wrong reasons. The best way to use a VTuber agency is to go beyond what they're currently showcasing. If you don't have a clear goal in mind for fresh content and just want to play Minecraft with Sonny Briscoe because you think he's charming, you're not what they're looking for.
If you apply and then you don't get in and you give up, then you really probably didn't want it. You probably just want it because you want to have a quick way to either get money or to talk to your oshi.
So let's break this problem down. The people I interviewed had great starting points, so I would never write them off as being not good enough for an agency. And this can be said for almost every small indie VTuber, so don't place your idea of worthwhile content on the number of followers alone. Maybe sometime down the line in their careers, they will grow by leaps and bounds and get to a few thousand followers, so why did they not get in? Well, I think, and as most people can agree, that Hololive and Nijisanji are looking at numbers. They're playing the numbers game hard. We can assume that all their current talents once had a rather impressive following for indie VTubers or content creators, because what companies are looking for are 3 simple things. Do you have content creation experience? Are you able to hold an audience with your content and personality? And are you dedicated to VTubing long term? The best way to answer these 3 questions is through looking at the auditioner's analytics. There is a reason why they ask on audition forums what your current YouTuber subscriber count is, what your Twitch following is, what your Twitter and TikTok followings are, because these suggest that you post enough to gain an audience, and also that your content is entertaining enough to keep an audience. It takes a lot to impress a company, just like any other major brand like Sony and Google. Imagine the audition forum is you writing up your statement of purpose and submitting your resume, because, and I want to stress this to the moon and back, applying for a VTuber agency is applying to a job. You are applying for a real, true, legal job. This is not entertainment for funsies. This is a full-on commitment of the majority of your time and existence for the duration of your employment. Remember when I mentioned in the beginning how under the Nijisanji audition tweet there were tons of people with no experience in content creation? I find this to be concerning in a way because these people are likely not doing any research on the company or what their responsibilities are if they were to get in. Now, I think it's safe to assume that if you do not have 5 to 10k subs in any social media platforms based around your content, you have no chance of getting in. That's just a fact of reality because it is a job. But seeing this trend of people blindly applying makes me worry for potential talents who do manage to pass the auditions and might share this mindset. That agency is about to invest a lot of money into you, and if you suddenly wake up to the reality that for the next binding year you have to double your work schedule to create content on top of your day job after you debut, it's going to really affect your health both mentally and physically. Almost all VTuber agencies ask in their audition form how many days a week that you are able to livestream, with a minimum of 3 to 4 times a week. This is not a suggestion. You should be pushing 4 to 5 or even 5 to 6 times a week if you want any chance of getting in. Now, for most people, this is an impossible commitment for a variety of reasons. Maybe your day job is extremely physically exhausting, and by the time when you get home, you're already out of fuel for the day and couldn't possibly make entertaining content. Or maybe you have a family to take care of and need 3 days in the week to really focus on caretaking. Or maybe you're a college student and need to take 4 classes plus a lab every day. You can't possibly sign yourself up for this full-time job as a live streamer if you have these real-world responsibilities. We can see that Petra and Reimu are university students during the day, and honestly, I have no idea how they manage it all. When I was an undergrad, admittedly, I had a few free hours in my day which I could have used for streaming instead of browsing YouTube and watching other streamers, but I don't think I could have ever maintained a corpo VTuber presence. And I think a lot of people would have the same issue. That's why this is a PSA to all those people in the replies who want to join agencies for the wrong reasons. Please reflect on your current situation and how you would be able to commit to a full-time job, not only creating content and live streaming, but also the hours of background work of setting up the games, the collabs, running the ideas through management, and other job requirements like frequent meetings and social media interactions. It is absolutely fine to admit to yourself that at the moment, applying for a VTuber agency is not right for you. Maybe it'll never be right for you. There are clearly amazing creatives in the VTuber space that could 100% make it into a company, but choose not to do so. The biggest example I can give is Shoto. He is an indie, no matter how big he's grown and who he collabs with, and he stated that he has no intention of going corpo.
I've expressed many times before that I don't want to be in a company, and I'm Shoto, and only Shoto. There's no Shoto Niji Sanji, it's just Shoto.
It doesn't align with his views or desire for content creation freedom, and that's completely valid and smart. There is also a reverse example of a corpo VTuber quitting and going indie like Kason. It's all a matter of preference and love for content creation. I did mention before that I was just like those people who had no experience in content creation and applied to VTuber agencies. I thought I had good ambitions and I had a lot of free time on my hands because it was COVID lockdown. That's right, I applied to Hololive EN once and twice to Niji Sanji for both the Etheria and Illuna auditions. As you can see, I did not get in. And I'll tell you why I didn't. I was a nobody who only watched VTubers and never dared to make content because of one excuse or another. Oh, I only have a shitty laptop that can't even run Overwatch. Oh, I don't have a microphone so my audio will be horrible. Oh, everything I want to do has already been done before. So no matter how well I sold myself in my written application, no matter how big my goals were if I did manage to enter a company, I would never be chosen. Because it's so much easier to say things than actually do things. Am I sad that I didn't get in? Of course. I also want to have a career in doing what I enjoy and make friends with other amazing people. But after I started sitting down and making content for myself, I realized that everything I dreamed of achieving could be done on my own. I don't need an agency to start making good content. I like making my schedule as loose as I want without needing to commit to doing something I find less important to my brand, streaming. I'm not a streamer. I like it, but it's not what I want to be. I like my creative freedom and slow growth because the growth I'm getting isn't from a legacy of previous VTubers being passed down to me for free. It's from my own hard work. I think finding this out for yourself before you apply to agencies is a very important step in not only your content creation skills, but also your self-worth.
Do you still want to eventually join a company, or are you just fine being an indie?
I'll be honest, if I still had the opportunity to join a studio, I mean, I would totally go for it. There's nothing really stopping anyone except yourself if you give up at your first shot.
With the current, I guess, situation, I would probably want to remain as indie because as much as I would love to be part of a corporate, given that they do provide quite a few benefits, but indie do allow more, I guess, freedom of creation and freedom of everything, like flexibility on schedule wise.
So if you are interested in auditioning, please, before anything else, ask yourself if you would be happy being limited in what you do and being expected to stream constantly in order to make enough money to survive. In addition to this topic, I'd like to bring awareness to the sketchiness of smaller agencies who claim to be the next up-and-coming powerhouse of the industry. Thank you to Vesa for recommending I talk about this because it is extremely important. If you are sure that you are fit for an agency and have been applying to Niji Sanji your whole life for months now, but you're not having luck, please do not turn to the next best thing in your mind unless you do your research. Smaller VTuber agencies are, frankly, scams or just completely not worth it.
To be honest, most of them are probably VTubers they themselves starting up the agency. They are trying to create something for themselves. And most of them are not scams, but there are a couple that I found that do have problems with, like, I guess the management side, where essentially a wave was going to debut soon, but they had a problem with one specific VTuber's model. And then in the end, the whole wave decided to drop the company.
To cancel?
So I did find some things that one might qualify as a red flag, but I chose to ignore it because I was just that lonely and desperate for friends back then.
Oh my god.
A friend who would eventually become a gen mate with me just kind of like asked out of nowhere, like, hey, would you have any interest in being like in a idol style VTuber agency? Because I am in one and staff were looking for new members. She gave me a name for what the agency was. She's like, yeah, it's this place for, I don't know, let's just give it a placeholder name. Let's call it VLiveX.
Okay,
Yes.
VLiveX.
She's like, hey, you want to join VLiveX? So I was like, so I popped that into Google. I found like a super empty Twitter account, and that was pretty much it. I'm like, I wonder if there's anything else that they have out there, like a website perhaps. So I put it into Google, and I was able to find a Reddit thread where they were scouting for talents. And it was basically like, hey, you guys have nothing? How what reason would anyone have just to work with you? Their responses were basically, our goal right now is to get a Gen 0 of established content creators so that the agency can essentially ride off of their backs. And then for Gen 1, with that publicity that we got through Gen 0, we can hopefully by that point have enough financial means to support a Gen 1 from the ground up.
It sounds very good. Is it real? We don't know because they are a new small company, you know?
They're just trying to get onto the hype train.
Mhm.
And eventually they'll just
They'll just whittle away and then pop.
bankrupt or something.
When I just opened my VTuber account and I was sure that it was the right time to begin my career, I wondered how people managed to create such a big following. And like a lot of people, I searched for the easy way out. I wanted to skip the long growth period and zip right up to 2K followers on all social media accounts. And so I looked for smaller VTuber agencies, and my god, there's a lot of them. Let me tell you how appealing they appeared at first. So appealing. You mean I could get into an agency just like that? It was like a dream. And then I took a deeper look. I saw all these tweets from these less than 1K follower agency accounts, looked through the audition forms, and then the first couple red flags went up. What does a company that has less than 1K followers and 10 likes on each post at best have to offer their talents? Do they have the money for it? Clearly not. And then I see their audition forms ask for very personal information right away, right at the very first step where I'm sure they're sorting through hundreds or more applications. Now, I know you can argue that this is just a common job application practice, but why do they need to know your phone number, your legal name, or anything of that sort at that point in time? That is information I would never be comfortable with giving unless I'm on the route to actually being signed in, with a contract, with a salary, or knew for a fact that they were reputable. The reason people trust Nijisanji and Hololive with their important personal information is because they have a website and clearly instruct you at the end of the application form to review their privacy policy. They have a privacy policy, and it states that they are not allowed to release your information. But do these smaller agencies have that guarantee? If so, where is it? And so I look at their Twitter accounts and hey, there's no official website, or card, or any links to official agency branding whatsoever. At this point, I would begin worrying if they were even registered as an official company under law. So, what does this mean? Spoilers! They're a scam! Now, there is a well-known term in the entertainment industry called kurogaisha, or black company. These are companies that use their talents like cash cows with no other intentions than to suck everything they can out of them, force them to buy their way out of the horrible contract when they realize they've been played like fools, and then prey on the next batch of dream-chasing applicants. I don't want to say all small agencies are like this. In fact, most people I interviewed suggested otherwise, that the people behind it are either VTubers themselves or other well-meaning fans. However, there is always a gap between ideals and follow-through. So I would like to refocus our attention for a second on a VTuber named Terumi Koizumi, who had the unfortunate experience of dealing with these black VTuber agencies twice.
Any costs that directly impacts the VTuber, the talent pays from their own pocket. Wow, you want to be bigger than Hololive, but I'm gonna buy my own manager? I'm gonna hire my own manager? I'm gonna get my own illustration, singing lessons, coaching classes? You must share why you do. Why? Who the fuck are you? no other VTuber persona until 4 years after debut date. Can you imagine that? A non-compete clause in entertainment. Oh my god. I was like, not even Apple does this. You're gonna pay half the cost of the model if you're unable to go past, if you're unable to fulfill his requirements. There's a fine. Hello? Hello? Is that legal? How about I just go get my own VTuber model, huh? I signed the contract, and it was, let's just say, none of it. There was no mention of the company helping me, providing anything to me, or doing any support, giving me any sort of training, classes, advertising, nothing. There was none of that in the contract. 3 fucking months on my own, doing my own shit, paying for my own promotions, doing my own ads. This edit of the room background, this was done for free by a friend. I don't have anything. I don't have anything. When I got monetization and when I got memberships, I had to pay for my own emotes, my own emoji. Wouldn't you think that something as big as a membership open or a monetization open be celebrated by a company?
Now, you might have some hesitation on believing a single voice with limited proof, so let's look at the now defunct Ubu TV's one and only CEO and his incredible insights on how he managed his company, which at the time was one of the most successful and popular agencies.
It being a family was probably not going to work, but I still was hopeful, so...
Wait, you still had like contracts and everything, right? Like what? Like you?
Yeah. So,
okay.
So the contracts were actually, I only started to implement them later on because we had an issue with one of the talents in the beginning that was actually sort of leaking private information.
What? When you started the company, you didn't make anybody sign like NDAs, non-competes,
nothing
nothing
like that.
No. Oh my god.
I just decided to trust them at the time.
Why?
I wanted to see. I didn't exactly plan on it just being, like, just a VTuber agency. I sort of wanted it to be like a family where everyone would help each other, but also get paid in the process.
What did that
That was
look
a big
like?
mistake, of course.
Can you talk about that? Like, what were cuts like in the company, especially when there were no contracts? How would you even do like revenue splits?
Yeah, but in the beginning, actually, we decided to, do a base plan on what we wanted to do and what we wanted to offer. But most of like the cuts and all that sort of stuff, we were going to decide later on.
So you took people on and you gave them models, and you had no idea what you were actually gonna like get back from it?
Well, no, I didn't exactly have an idea of what cut we would do. But I did have, base idea of what we planned on doing and how we planned on making money. Any donations, bits, subscriptions, or anything like that would 100% go to the talent.
Oh,
we would only
different.
we would only get the ads. Everything else would go to the talent, and then, we wouldn't even want to know how much they made. Whatever they make is theirs. In terms of donations, bits, of subscriptions. We would also make money from merch. I forgot to mention that part. So merch and ads, essentially it.
Did you ever produce any merch?
We didn't.
Huh? This is a massive problem. Not only will you be mismanaged or not even have access to a manager, you'll barely have different numbers to when you were an indie, and now that small income you're making could possibly be deducted into the company with unstated percentages? You will be losing money. They might sell you the dream, make you feel good enough about yourself and your content that you expect to blow up like the next Nijisanji wave, but you won't. Still not convinced? Let's look at some real examples in terms of agency social hierarchy. Nijisanji En, where most English viewers congregate to, is not even free of talents worrying if they will be popular and make money. Here's a clip of Aya sharing her thoughts and worries about being eclipsed by other talents.
I mean, jealousy occurs in everyone, you know? Like, not gonna lie, I remember when I first saw XLA, I was like, shit. I'm threatened. Luckily, I feel like my niche is so specific. I don't feel like my niche is ever going to be in danger per se. It's so specific and so small that I don't feel threatened for the most part. But it's more like I was just intimidated by their talent, you know? I think it's a common sentiment where like other members have talked about it before, where new generations would frighten them a little bit, like, oh shit, what now? You know, like they're similar to me or they're going to be better than me, and that sort of thing. I confided in the senpais a while back how I was concerned about, you know, kind of being eaten alive a little bit when the new wave comes out, because I know that they're like, oh shit, they're a really talented bunch. I'm gonna struggle, you know? Like, I'm already kind of like the little guy, and so I felt like, oh man, I'm gonna go from being the smallest to being totally swamped. And so I'm like, well, shit, what I do?
So what makes you think a startup agency with less than 2K followers on Twitter will give you any advantage over indies? The reality is, it won't. So please do not jump over to any agency auditions that crop up because you think you have a better chance of getting in. At the very least, please read their terms and conditions, their policies, any available statistics and previous business actions before you apply. Look up their CEO on LinkedIn, their involvement in the VTuber community, if the agency is even registered as a legal company. And most importantly, read your contract. Get your mom to read it over for you. Ask your friends. Hire a lawyer. Again, treat this as a potential job that you will be getting taxed over. You need to take it seriously. Finally, we've come to the last topic that I wanted to talk about. Not everyone needs to be a VTuber. It's just like it sounds. You do not have to jump on the bandwagon and become a VTuber. This is not me trying to halt my competition before there's more talented creators in my niche. Not at all. What I'm saying is, the VTuber medium is extremely limiting in the types of content you can make, as well as being almost double the startup price of any facecam streamers. If you want to become a content creator of any sort, you do not have to brand yourself as a VTuber in order to get an edge in the market. You just don't. Let's take a look at some wildly successful streamers and YouTubers who got famous without the help of cute anime waifus. Moist Critical. He's a daily uploader whose videos average to around 10 minutes each. He speaks in a very monotone voice and doesn't really add any flashy editing to his videos. He just talks, and he has a very unique way of joking, using crude and unusual commentary to make a point. But he's thriving at a solid 11 million subscribers on YouTube and has a big Twitch community. Next, we have Dream. Good old Dream. He was a faceless creator for a very long time, building his brand off of his own gameplay and unique way of controlling Minecraft. I don't think I need to explain much about him, so we'll move right along. The Right Opinion is a commentary channel who makes long-form content averaging to 2-hour-long videos, completely faceless except for a PNG that enhances his speaking points when needed. And to be honest, his PNG is not exactly flattering. He doesn't even post videos often. 1.3 million subscribers. As you can see from this small selection of YouTubers that I've mentioned, you don't need a high-budget character model wiggling around on your screen to be able to capture an audience. You don't need a high production value with overlays and stingers. You just need things that work. So if you are passionate about content creation and think you have a brand and niche you want to hone into, go for it. You can absolutely use PNGs or something of the sort to bring the whole thing together, but the focus should always be on the quality of the content. Or if you're just hopping onto the VTuber train because you like corpo VTubers and thought it'd be cool to join in, stop right there. Do not invest in top quality models or PCs or webcams. Use what you have right now or go out and buy a $30 anything and start streaming. Use free assets. Use a Vroid model. Use a PNG you drew in 5 minutes. You need to make sure that you like making content and will continue to make content in the future. Only then should you invest.
I mean, do it because you loved it. Don't do it because it's popular.
Right.
I'm sure you've heard this many times before from various other VTubers, and it's true. They know what they're talking about. Let's take a look at the trend of VTubers right now. We know that Hololive and Nijisanji came into being during 2016-2017. Did you know about VTubers back then? I'm sure most of you did not. In fact, Ironmouse had also debuted around that time and struggled on Twitch for years before blowing up along with the VTuber genre. Do you know what sparked this explosion? COVID lockdown. March 2020. Everyone was inside their homes, unable to leave their houses to go entertain themselves. So what did everyone take to doing? Browse the internet. Twitch grew rapidly in daily viewers because people were bored and they wanted to see cool content. They wanted to talk to other people, and just chatting became one of the best earning genres of streaming for a good year or so due to the genuine loneliness people were experiencing. So it's no surprise that VTubers took off at this time. There were millions more eyes to attract, and then Hololive Ian breached the gap between Japanese livers and the English-speaking market. Boom. Explosion.
When the pandemic hit, they lost their jobs and they were really scared. But they lost their jobs, and then all of a sudden I started making money off of streaming.
If you wanted to become a successful VTuber, 2020 and 2021 were the years to do so. But now, that time has ended. COVID regulations have simmered down. People have long returned to their normal lifestyles of leaving the house for 10 hours at a time before sitting down to binge Netflix before bed. There's no time for exploring new VTubers. The reputation still lasts, but we are at a plateau, and we will soon see a decline in interest over the next few years because the technology is no longer unknown and amazing. You will not get famous simply by being a cute moving avatar anymore. So if you want to ride this bandwagon and make a career out of it to pay your bills, you're going to have to put in 5 times the effort of the Oshis you look up to. Not everyone needs to be a corporate VTuber. However, you can still make a difference in people's lives by being a viewer. It's much more simple, and you can still enjoy things you like and meet new people while not having to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars. Unless, of course, you buy akasupas. You can continue to bring in new fans to the genre and help the current community expand. Support the streamers you like who have low average view counts. Corpo VTubers were only able to reach the level they are at now thanks to your help, so why not continue that support? In fact, clippers of Corpo VTubers can also use their hobby as a means of income if they get hired by the company to produce official edited clips. People love watching clips instead of waiting through 3-hour-long streams for the 2 minutes of funny or relatable content. So if you already have video editing skills and have been a clipper for a while, why not apply to the position the next time Niji-sanji opens it? Also, if you're an artist or a graphic designer, rigger, 3D modeler, or even an audio engineer, or someone who just likes to mess around in After Effects and Photoshop, you can market yourself as someone who works for the VTuber community through commissions. All Corpo VTubers commission just regular people whose work they like, and you can make money while supporting the community. See? Not everyone has to be a VTuber. Don't try to be someone you're not just to fit into this side of entertainment. Pull off of your own strengths if you want to contribute, no matter how small. That's all for this deep dive. I hope you took away something new if you've been in the scene for a while, or maybe everything was new to you and it served as a wake-up call. Perhaps I seemed harsh, but I think some of these things had to be said. I am not trying to gatekeep VTubing. If you just want to do it as a hobby that doesn't serve as your main source of income, then don't worry about it. Do what you love and love what you do. My biggest worry is that young people in this community will start to neglect real-world responsibilities, quit college, or do something drastic before any results, only to never be contacted by Niji-sanji or Hololive about their audition. With that said, I wish the best of luck to everyone auditioning this season, and if you don't get in, don't sweat it. Reflect on what you can improve on in the meantime and shoot your shot again the next time auditions roll out. I'd like to give a shout out to the wonderful creators that have inspired me to make this video, as well as those who I interviewed. If this topic interests you, why not give VTuber Senpai and Realists a follow, since they mainly focus their content around this exact subject. Mariyume on YouTube also recently started a second channel dedicated to beginner VTubers, so check that out as well as her previous videos. Thank you to Yumeru, Bakeki, Skylar, and Vesa for the help. Please check them out if you want some chill variety streams. And thank you to the community for being receptive of my previous video on VTuber Twitter. It's amazing how many of you guys supported that and showed up to my other social media accounts. It means a lot. This has been Licorice Banashi, your local spider lily yokai who posts about Japanese culture, living in Japan, and apparently VTubers. If you'd like to keep an eye out for future videos like this one, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe.
You can come watch me over on Twitter at... What can you find me as on Twitter for that matter?
I stream mostly on Twitch.com, but I want to start doing YouTube content. On Twitch, it's... I don't know if a URL is going to be on the screen.
Yeah, I'll throw your URL.
Yeah, it's right here, totally. Damn. See you on the next adventure, bye-bye!
おやすみ I'll see you next time. I'll be looking. Okay, fuck, I messed up. I can't remember my own
Second try.
Oh yeah, Sumit. See you next time in your dreams. I'll be there watching for you. Alright? So catch me on YouTube and Twitter, I guess.
If you made it into this far in the video, I compel you to subscribe and follow me on Twitter. It's no longer optional. Bye.